was like basically telling me, oh yeah, like let it read what's happening on the screen and then prompt you to do stuff. So like our idea is that like once we get this like the software to see, um, this would just be an overlay on top of it, and
Hmm.
as you're working, uh, like it'll be like a set of tutorials, or it'll be like a real world example. It'll be like, okay, there's like a storm happening in some plant, right? And now all these batteries are having issues. What is your job to do? It
Hmm.
won't tell you what to do, but it'll like start a timer and it'll keep going. Like it'll like see what you're doing is the correct method of action to
Hmm.
see if like that's the correct like way to go about it. But if you
Hmm.
don't, if obviously you don't do what the prompt is trying to like see if you're going to complete, it'll stop you and be like, hey, this is what you did wrong. You should have done this sooner. You should have done this more. But I guess like now, I guess my question would be like, would this fleet board monitoring system have like pre-planned scenarios? Like for example, hey, this is going to happen in X amount of time, but like we won't let the person that's being onboarded know like, okay, yeah, there's going to be a storm that's going to hit this plant, and what are you going to do about it? Or is it just kind of like, are we going to make like tutorials on how to teach the user to use this program? Because the one right here is basically, this is the basic like, oh, welcome to the fleet board on welcome to the monitoring system. This is what all of this information is on your screen, and this would be the first module, and then once you click finish,
Hmm.
you've completed this module and it'll take you to the next module. So I guess like that's what I wanted to clarify. It's like if this is like a good idea, like if this is what you wanted, or if you were thinking about something else.
So initially, I was thinking of basically what kind of these mockups that you have, unless that's something real that you have working. I was thinking something similar to that, but um, with a little bit of touch of what you talked about. Here's some real world scenario and prompting the user to actually, respond to that, because
Mm.
that's really where the value lies. Um, Otherwise, this could be a simple, even a video, or I don't know if you all seen how HR training tools work. They're
Yeah.
very similar
Mm-hmm.
to this, and they're
The Walmart
oftentimes
thing.
just boring. Like
Yeah. Yep.
I just click next, and I can once even if I fail one time, it's gonna ask me the same questions next time, and
Yeah.
I just have to kind of hack it, right? I don't want a tutorial like that. Because for a lot of what happens in Fleet Monitor, which, by the way, very smart of you to go to the website and get the screenshot, because I didn't realize we had it there,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons I haven't been able to share anything yet, but it's on the public website, so it's different. Um, so that system Fleet Monitor itself, it's very critical for our ROC users, which is the remote operations users, to just keep monitoring what's happening at the asset, all the way down to, for example, monitoring a temperature of a given cell. If it's going in and out of a certain threshold, they need to go do something about it. Otherwise, the cell can fail, or the battery module itself can fail, or when on the other side, somebody's actually trying to discharge these batteries and turns out because of a overheating issue, it's not happening, then there are certain contractual commitments that are made that that we fail on, and then ENGIE can get fined, for example. So
Mm.
there's some different criticalities to it, which is the why it's important to have a tutorial that kind of addresses some of these questions, but also makes it a bit more interactive, so it's not just a boring tutorial that you click through to just get it over with.
Yeah.
So it should be a combination of both ideas that you mentioned, essentially. But long story short, is going to be that.
I guess my question would be is that if we once we get management of this like software, are we going to be also in charge of creating these mock scenarios, or would those already be made and given to us?
You would make the mocks. Well, I can tell you what the scenarios would be from like a business
Yeah.
user functionality kind of perspective, but the
Mm.
actual implementation of it, if you will, that would be on your team.
Okay. Okay. Um, I guess what else? Okay, so would we have any kind of like I know you said this would be integrated, but uh my teammate Zainab and some other teammates also made this mock-up right here. Like would we have any kind of like a onboarding screen perhaps, like something like this, like with the UI and stuff, where it kind of shows you because like I said, like these would probably I guess be scenarios, instead of
Hmm.
modules, because we'll just have real world scenarios. Because like the tutorial, you can like anybody could teach or watch a video on. So I can agree with that. So like I guess we could just kind of change these into being like, oh, scenario one, but we wouldn't tell them what it was, right? Like obviously it would just be kind of like a hidden thing because
Mm.
we don't want them to know what would happen. So scenario one and not started because this would probably be someone like the rock manager. It would see like, okay, this person has completed three scenarios. I think they're ready to be, actually working on the actual monitoring system. But like, so would you want something like this too, or do you just want like something more like to what we have here?
So I think there are two distinct purposes here. One is purely from a training perspective, where I want to feel confident that this new rock technician that I hired is, ready for the big leagues. That's scenario
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Then there's also scenario two that we released a new feature in Fleet Monitor that somebody, doesn't know about, and we're trying to just
Okay.
be, engage them in saying, hey, look, there's a new export feature. If you use that, you can export, X amount of data, for example. So
Okay.
that technically does not require a training, if you will.
Yeah.
This is more a quick overview of, hey, this is a new cool thing.
Okay.
So I don't have the solution for that, hence the entire problem statement of
Yeah.
this kind of onboarding companion. How do you address that, again, in a meaningful way?
Hmm.
And I've mentioned this to other teams as well. The key for all of these projects is going to be a good user experience.
Yeah. Okay. Um, well, we also had made a we had made a database schema for the this project, but Venkat was kind of telling us like we can't really do that because it's like obviously we'll probably get a schema already, so I guess I won't show that. And then we did have these
Hold
user
on.
stories too.
If we just back up before we go to the user stories,
Yeah.
on the database note, can you explain a bit more why we won't have a database or why he discouraged from that?
Yeah, let me just pull that up real quick. He was basically saying that we can't really have something that's like kind of like I forgot what he said. Like he said that because we kind of went like super deep dive into this, and he was kind of explaining that this could be bad because it's like because everything's already so interconnected and just so like in depth here without even having like any sort of information on what like we might need and what we might not need. So like obviously we would still make a database like schema, but like the way we went about it was a little too ambitious, as he said it was a little too
Okay.
ambitious. Yeah, because he wanted something more like starting some small and then kind of building up and then making it more flexible to add more stuff later. This kind of just kind of locks you in to a box where it's like, okay, well, we already have this, so we have to use it somehow. And then if you pick apart and remove stuff, he was like saying that this could cause like a lot of like complications and stuff like that.
Mm,
So I mean, we had one, but like, yeah, he was just kind of like, yeah, maybe you should like kind of tone it down a little bit. So,
I see.
yeah. So I
For,
was just, I was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, from that perspective, this makes sense. I agree with him that you don't want to kind of over architect from the get-go because it will just box you in.
Yeah.
So when you initially said like discourage from the database, I just thought it you meant like no database at all,
No, no, no,
and was
no, no. Yeah,
like,
he was just kind of saying like, you should probably clarify this with him first before making something as complicated as this. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense, sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this was made by Gabriel mainly. He was working on this, so I was gonna give him credit to this too. And then
okay.
this is made by Berenice, the user stories. If you wanna, do you wanna take over for this or?
Yeah, I can explain it. Um, so basically, there's three users, right? We have the admin, the ROCC manager, and then the ROCC user. So this just breaks down what each user does and um, like what they have access to within their own part. So the trainee will have the guided training overlay. Um, and it says, as an ROCC user, I want a guided overlay on a fleet monitor so that I can safely learn the interface before using live systems, just so they can like be fully immersed in it, and obviously know what they're doing before they're in the field, before they have to actually deal with the batteries and all that. And then if you scroll down, so there's like, I made like three different different parts for each user. So then there's also the practice simulation. This is where they're going to practice within the fleet monitor. We have like the definition of when it'll be done, the status right now is still planned, but this part will this is where they'll practice the BESS commands in a simulated environment, so that they can understand, like, if they do something wrong, what the consequences of that action is, so that they know how to do it correctly.
Makes sense. Oops. Looks like you had some connection issues.
Oh, I guess I can tell you from that. So basically, we also have she made all these stories. Um, And she also did the ROCC manager would be like the oversight, basically looking at what the trainee's doing, what types of scenarios they have been tested for. I guess we'll also go over and try to implement that feature where it's like, oh, you know, there's this new thing that we're releasing for the fleet more managing system, and you can basically kind of just prompt every user to be like, hey, just go look at this real quick. It shouldn't take you less than a second or something, just so you know how this works and how to export data. So it could probably just be like a mini tutorial. So probably what we'll do is that like we'll probably allow the manager to make something as simple as that with their controls, like, hey, we're gonna make a new module for you. And obviously it can't be something that's like, I guess, something that's like more of a, well, we'll probably like go over it again, but like, okay, never mind. You know what? That doesn't make sense. I'm gonna scratch that idea. Yeah. So like, we'll have the ROCC manager try to go over and make these scenarios, or like, mini tutorials for like new features that have been added, or if they want to go into more in depth, like for example, I guess if there was a situation that was so obscure that really you couldn't have been trained for it, like something that would happened, but like someone
Sure.
logged in and like we understood what happened, you could make a scenario for that so it doesn't happen again, because there have been times where it's like something that's like hasn't been like a problem hasn't happened before, and someone just never actually knew that actually occurred, right?
Right. That makes sense.
um
Yeah, for the purposes of this, we do want to start kind of small and keep the scope limited,
yeah.
focus on just having a couple of simulations. But like you said,
Hmm.
in the future, but
Yeah,
probably beyond the scope of this project,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
would add the ability to add future simulations. Yeah.
Okay, so just focus on this smaller scenarios right now, right? Or like scenarios that you guys will have for us. Okay. And
And the
then, oh
the
yeah.
the intent, just to make sure that it's all clear for everybody here, is I focus on an end-to-end working product. It doesn't always have to be, everything's fancy and fully polished out.
Hmm.
While important, it is more important to have everything working end to end. Like imagine a vertical slice where you get a little bit of everything instead of a horizontal slice where you just get one slice and nothing on top,
Mm,
you know?
okay. All right,
So,
fair enough. um Admin, administrator, they basically have full like access to everything. They can just delete stuff. They can do anything they want with this onboarding system. Like, you know, um, sorry, my mind is blanking. Basically, just having, they
I,
have the ability to just block people from looking at certain onboarding procedures, or like blocking managers from seeing other other users, and just very typical administrative stuff that they have the ability to
sure.
do for other programs. So yeah, so we have three main user roles. Obviously, probably the main ones we'd probably be working on would be probably ROCC trainee and ROCC operator, or ROCC manager, sorry, and just have those to be like their main focus for probably iteration two, because
Correct.
administrative is like kind of it's cookie cutter, like it's an admin in any kind of program. So
I agree.
we'll probably just try to focus on that for now.
Sure.
Um, Other than that, I think pretty much kind of nailed everything for iteration one. Let me see. Yeah, this was our iteration one backlog. We kind of just did complete all of this. Obviously, we'll probably go back on making the database schema again because we'll probably just make it more, you know, a little easier for us. So we're just not like, kind of like locking ourselves in a box.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I mean, if you have any ideas what we should focus on, because I think we have our iteration two as well.
Okay.
Let's see what we had. All right.
So I'm curious that as part of this project plan, like when you walk through the stories, I didn't see any specific call outs for like UI mockups, for example, unless I missed it. Is that something that y'all had
Um,
discussed?
So like yeah, that's why I was explaining like this thing right here. This thing would probably be like the quote unquote homepage for the monitoring system. Like basically that's why I was trying to ask if this would be like something you were interested in. This would kind of be like the bread and butter for everything that goes here. So like obviously the user would be right here. If you're the trainee or the operator, it'll probably be different what you see on this page. This is like mostly what you would see as a normal trainee. Like you have all these
Hmm.
situations and scenarios right here, and then that again you said you didn't really know what you really wanted for the AI thing, but we were trying to explain that probably we'll have like an AI overview right here in the recommended or something right here that like explains that hey maybe you should work on this or maybe
Basically.
you should do this, yeah. And yeah, like basically these would just all be like clickable links that you just take you throughout this whole web app of like scenarios. And then my idea was is that once you click on one of these scenarios, it would take you to a Fleetboard onboard monitoring system. Like it would just put you in there like pretty much something like this, where it just shows you this whole program, like all the gears and pieces, everything works, but obviously nothing is actually connected to any, battery or anything like that. Everything is kind of just mock.
Hmm. So that's what I was kind of trying to understand where we were going with this. So that mock-up that you showed, like the your
This one?
dashboard essentially.
Yeah.
So from the dashboard, if I'm starting scenario one,
Mhm.
at that point, are you going to navigate me to the actual Fleet Monitor application with something overlaid on top, or is it going to be
Yeah,
just...
that was my idea. Yeah.
So how do you actually accomplish that though? I
That
understand that's the desired state, but what's the how of it? Is that even
that
possible?
yeah, that was my question because it's like obviously this is a very like, the Fleetboard monitoring system is a very like complex program, right? So it's like that's why I was kind of confused on how it would work because like, all of that's already kind of connected to an actual battery system across whatever it's connected to. So I
Hmm.
guess my like question would be like how would we make this like something that's just like wouldn't actually cause a consequence, like how would it be like a mock up, like that's why I was confused because it's like I
That
guess that's like my question, like are we like once you give us access to this, like is it gonna be something that like we could actually see, like we could like mess around with the batteries and stuff, like I don't really want to like cause something, like that's why I don't know, like I feel like
so so
yeah.
you will get access to Fleet Monitor itself,
Uh-huh.
but Uh, So just to give a little bit more context of what Fleet Monitor does is it is technically a read-only application that shows you the current like status of the batteries and the various units within that. You
Uh-huh.
cannot actually edit or modify anything on the batteries. In order to do that, there is a separate project which looks very similar to Fleet Monitor. This is what we
Mm.
call the site HMIs. And in those
Mm.
site websites, basically, is where you go in. Not everybody gets access to that. Barely like 10% of the users have access to it. That's when you can actually go and interact with the batteries remotely. So through Fleet Monitor, you can't mess up any of the real
Um,
production data.
oh, okay. That kind of okay. So it's only a read. only thing. Okay, so if I were to ask, so everything on here on this screen right here, like the screen cap I got from that video that I saw,
Hmm.
um, you can't really do anything like that would like mess something up, basically. Like
Not
it's
from this screen.
basically, oh, okay. So
So
but this is what people would be training for, like the read only, right? Like not.
correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But like imagine like, there is something that says total power charging and total power discharge. What the heck does that mean, for example? Or
Hmm.
there's a certain type of alarm. Why should you care about that? If there's a critical BMS alarm, why should a rock operator care for it? Like those kind of things are part of the training as well. So once we can at least have some training modules at this level, then we would move on to a next simulation in the future where you can actually have something where you have to charge or discharge a battery, for example. I don't want to go there yet. I want us to at least have
Yeah,
some kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
basic onboarding experience with the read-only view. Um, the the so that's from the business aspect of things. From a tech perspective, Fleet Monitor is not like an Angular application or React or anything. It's not an application like that. It uses SCADA tools behind the scenes, and there's a SCADA software called Ignition.
Mm,
I don't expect anybody here to have ever used Ignition, but the way SCADA technology works is very different. We have dedicated developers who learn that and become like controls engineers and SCADA engineers who work on this. So you won't, even if you try to learn Ignition, you're going to need quite a bit of time to do anything, right? So you're not going to come in and actually look at the source code of the website and modify anything. The tricky part here is you have this existing website. How can you overlay a tutorial on top of that? I don't have the answer. That's what I want to learn from you guys as well. So
okay.
imagine if you're just going to, I don't know, Amazon.com, let's say, and if
Mm.
you want to overlay a tutorial on Amazon.com, how do you accomplish that? I don't know. That's the key here.
Okay. I see.
Potentially, yeah. But you don't want to just pass in like JavaScript or anything through URLs. That's how security flaws happen, for example. But if there is an extension, maybe yeah, that's an option. Or there's some other option. I just don't know. Hence the need for this project because in principle, this is a very simple onboarding companion, right? You can have a
Yeah.
couple of interactivity, but the key is that this interaction sits on top of this website. How do you accomplish that?
Okay. Um, Sorry, so this tech stack or the SCADA stuff, is this Fleet Monitor thing like a separate program that runs on your computer, or is it like a web app?
Um, it's technically a web application, but not in
Uh-huh.
your traditional sense, like a Azure static web application that,
Uh-huh.
usually you would have like a React front end and a Node back end.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
it's not like that. It's not like your MVC
Oh,
application or anything. This is a SCADA application that technically is a web application, but it runs on a virtual machine in the cloud.
okay.
That's how it's designed.
Yeah, because in like retrospect, this is pretty easy. I guess the most of the challenge is trying to like actually put it on top of that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not like dictating any options. I want to learn from you guys. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if understanding this is a constraint, there is a virtual machine where this application runs. You do not have access to the source code, but you need to overlay some sort of tutorials, make them interactive. How do you solve that problem?
Okay.
That is the crux of this entire project.
Ooh.
So we don't need answers now, but I hope
Yeah.
that at least kind of gives you more to think on and kind of understand the complexity of this project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did not know that that's what it was. Honestly thought it was just a simple web app. Like this just looked like a web app on the YouTube video. I guess I got kind of fooled into thinking so. So, because the
I
video
wish
wasn't
it
really
was
that
that
great.
simple.
Like I had to like snag this. It was like 1 second screenshot. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. I know what it looks like now, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is actually the outdated UI. There's a revamp that happened, so there's
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of elements have changed, but you generally get an idea of what it looks like.
Mhm. Okay. Uh, I'll probably discuss it with my team now.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we'll try to figure something out. We'll probably have some kind of ideas. I'll probably schedule a meeting with them, and I'll shoot you an email. I'll be like, hey, this is what we thought. We came up with this. What do you think of this? And if you find it kind of solid, or if you have more questions, you can just email me back, and I'll like relay it to the team.
Yeah.
So I will see. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That works. You can send me email anytime. I may not respond the same day, but I'll try my best to respond as soon as I can.
okay.
And if it's getting too complex and you guys think it's better to, just try to get on a call before our regular sprint demos, just let
Mhm.
me know. We
Okay.
can do that.
Okay. Yeah. Um. Okay. Great. I think that's pretty much it. If you guys wanted to say anything, also, by the way, I know I've been talking mostly.
I just have one question. Do we know when we're gonna get access to the fleet monitor and all of the software?
Unfortunately, I don't have that timeline just because this is beyond my control. There's the HR onboarding and legal paperwork and whatnot. I've been trying to push to get it done as soon as possible, but there's only so much influence I have on that. So it could be 2 weeks, it could be longer. I don't know. As soon as I
Okay,
know, all the team leads will be made aware as soon as I can.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gee, Gordon, did you want to say anything, or are you good? Okay. Okay, cool. I think that's pretty much it from us for now.
Okay. I did want to go back to your backlog real quick. Um,
Yeah, for
so
iteration two.
Yeah, so I had some kind of general feedback as well. So I appreciate the fact that you guys have thought through the different stories, the different user personas, and wrote them down in a very organized manner. What I would recommend is try to use some backlog management tool. It could be anything that you're comfortable with, Trello, Jira, DevOps. I saw
Mhm.
another team use Notion, for example, just so that you kind of get some practice at using backlog management tools as well.
Okay.
Um, because as a real world job, if you will, you
Hmm.
would want to also know how to organize projects and run sprints as well. So this is a
Okay.
good opportunity to just learn something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably create something that right now today.
Yeah. And then if you can look at just the iteration two stories as well, real quick, I just want to understand them better.
Uh, this one right here,
Yeah,
or the
that's
okay, yeah.
fine. Oh no, this is good. Okay. So that knowledge checks was that section that you were talking about of making
Yeah.
something a bit more interactive.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it would kind of like say, okay, yeah, see, like in progress, it's completed, restart the module, or you can continue, whatever. You can like redo it. It like something like yeah, I mean, now I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna like implement something that would make sense, I guess. But like this would probably come later, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like with this new understanding and information, you may have to reevaluate your backlog a little bit,
Yeah.
and architecture for that matter.
Hmm. Pretty much, yeah.
Hmm.
So we'll probably go over this again for sure.
Okay, okay, sure, sounds good. Um, okay, I think I got everything that I needed to ask.
Okay.
Cool. If y'all are good as well, we can wrap up early. So
All
anything
right.
else?